Okay, step 2 is to download the data that we're going to use. And you have to go to my webpage to do that. Well, you don't have to, but you can go to my webpage. And then you add the word data onto the URL. Everybody there? And then you should see different data sets. We are going to be looking at one called CAR. And it's this accidents _ 2015. That's the actual data set we're going to look at. But you can download the other ones too, because the other files are metadata. So they're data about that data. Like, what is that data? Did everybody find that?
So what data we got?
So you found the folder?
Yep.
Just download all of them. But the actual data is called accidents _ 2015.csv.
So is it on the Tableau?
It is on a web server. You'd have to open up a web browser to get the data.
Yeah, I'm there, but I'm in the data folder. Just looking at which one.
Oh, car.
Save the cards.
Car.
You save link as, it'll save it.
So I'm looking at
Accidents _ 2015.
oh, okay.
So just do a search for one. Everybody find the data? So accidents _ 2015 is the actual data file. I encourage you to download the other ones though, because they're metadata. That means data that describes the data. So if you want to get a full understanding of what that data is, we have to look at the metadata. Do you have another question? So this one. Yep. And then add the word data onto the URL. And then car. Car. UK. And then these are the files. Download them all. I don't think you can download them all exactly together. You just have to right click or something. Okay, so I've downloaded the files already. Let's see if I can find them. So I'm going to click on the Road Accident Safety Data Guide. So it says like what the data is. The data is supplied in a comma-separated ASCII format. Does everybody know what a CSV file is? It's a text file. And every data value is separated by a comma. Anybody know why that's such a common format? Yep, it's readable by every program. And any other reasons? You can store as many records as you want. There is a limit, but you can store millions of tuples, data tuples in a CSV file, as opposed to some other programs that have a strict limit, like Excel has a strict limit on the number of rows that you can store. And you can find some description of the variables that are inside the data. So this is data about car accidents in the UK, right? Not every car accident, but for all the car accidents in 2015 that were reported, those reports are collected in a database and stored online in a public folder. Like I got this data from a public website, data.gov.uk or something like that. So this is public data about car accidents in the UK. And this is a list of the variables inside the data. There are lots of variables and what they mean. There's an accident severity too that I'll highlight. Accident severity, 1 means fatal accident, 2 means serious, and 3 means slight. And there's also a day of the week encoded, so 1 is Sunday and so on. And I can open the file called Laramie 16 UK car accidents just as a preview. That's not the original data file. It's an Excelified version. And does anybody know why it's been Excelified? It's so we can get a preview, but this Excel would not load the whole data set. It just wouldn't the first time I tried it. So it's an Excelified version. The CSV file has all of the data in it. So we're actually going to be looking at the CSV file. But we can still get a preview of what it looks like in Excel. Right? That's what the Laramie 16 UK car accidents Excel file, that's why I created that. So this is what the data looks like before we actually use Tableau. Every car accident has a car accident index. It has a location, a longitude and a latitude specification, where it is, the police force that reported the report, the accident severity, the number of vehicles involved in the accident, the number of casualties or the number of injured people, the date that the accident happened, the day of the week it happened, the time it happened, the local authority district. So it's a lot of data, right? There are lots of columns here. It's huge. I keep going. There's some interesting stuff here, like, did the police officer attend scene of the accident? That's an interesting thing. Urban or rural area, carriageway hazards, special conditions at the site, road surface conditions. So this is quite an interesting data set. And it's quite big too. It's really big. Has everybody had a preview of the data to see what it looks like before we fire up Tableau? Anybody here drive a car? It's hazardous to your health to drive a car, by the way. So in this data set, there are 140,000 accidents in the year 2015 in the UK. Those are only the reported accidents. Those don't include the unreported accidents. That means, I did some back of the envelope calculation, that means 384 accidents per day, about 16 accidents per hour, about 1 accident every 3 to 4 minutes in the UK.
Just one observation.
Yep.
There's always at least one casualty, so is this only cases where there's actually a reported casualty, or is it just...
I don't know the answer to that. Are you 100% confident that there are no 0 casualties in there? How did you deduce that? How did you deduce that information?
Yeah, I had a quick scan, but I mean, I did.
Yeah, I would say
there aren't any of them. I did have to control F as well.
Control F won't work.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
But this isn't the full data set for a start.
Exactly, exactly.
But
It seems that way. It seems that way, but we have to load it up in some other tool if we want to really be sure. Any other questions before we start looking at it in Tableau? So, it's a complicated data set, and it's non-trivial. I'm going to keep this open just for reference, because it's very handy to reference if I want to look up something like. Okay, so I'm going to start Tableau now. Tableau public. That's the start screen. Everybody started Tableau. And they're on the left, there are different options for loading a data set. The option we want today is a text file. So the CSV file is a text file, actually, comma separated value. So we're going to click on text file. And then we're going to look for our accidents_2015 CSV file and load that. Has everybody seen that? Is everybody with us so far? The excitement, the level of excitement is rising rapidly. It is exciting. This demo is very exciting. It really is. So I'll click open. And there's another preview. We're gonna create some fun visual layouts. So we're gonna start off with a geospace. We're gonna look at the accidents on a map, and then we're gonna create some other abstract things like bar charts, line charts, and area graphs, area charts. And at the end, hopefully there'll be time we can also create a dashboard that combines them all together in a synchronized way. So it's really exciting. And we get Tableau gives us a preview down here, accident index. It also identifies what kind of data it is. Right, this is a string. This is numeric data, like locations, longitude. It's identified longitude and latitude as location data. Right, and I can scroll over. Police force is a number, accident severity is a number of accidents is number of vehicles is a number, and number of casualties, and so on. So there's a date as well. I am going to just make one change, actually, one small change. It's not really that important, but you can change the recommendations that Tableau gives you for the kinds of data you're looking at. Here it's interpreted the day of the week as a number. I'm actually going to change this to a string, because I think I would rather it would be like thought of as a string, right? Because it's not really a it's 7 numbers or 7 strings. It's just 7 repeating values over and over again. Okay, and the next thing is to create a new worksheet, right? So we just click down there. Did everybody see that? I clicked down there and created a new worksheet down here. Okay, sheet 1, sheet 2. I guess it doesn't matter which sheet we use. Has everybody got this far? Maybe one of your neighbors can. The buttons in Tableau, some of the buttons are very small. I'll try to pause before I click a button because some of them are very small. Everybody with me so far? Yeah, you might get a message that says something like, are you sure you want to do this? And are you sure you want to use all the data? And the answers are yes. Yeah, that would be great. So you want to click on the text file. And then you have to try to find the accidents _2015 file. I don't know where you saved it. But you probably saved it in like downloads or something, or documents. Check downloads, documents.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I see, I think you didn't download.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you just looked at it. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think you have to right click on that. And then save target as. That is the documents. So it should be okay in there. Download is complete. And then go back to Tableau. Tableau application. Then open text file. Documents again. It should be in there somewhere. There it is. Yeah, Elif. This will be a good place to sit. Elif is an expert at Tableau. Thank you, Elif. Okay, so let's create a map, the map. I can double click. Notice all the different data attributes are on the left here. Some of them are called dimensions, some of them are called measures. I can double click, for example, on latitude. If I do that, just double click here, I get a very fancy looking bar. Yeah, that's pretty exciting, isn't it? And it's just showing, for some reason, the average latitude. It's decided to show me the average latitude. I can do the same thing with longitude, and it gets a little more exciting. So I double click on longitude. And now we have average latitude of all the accidents and the average longitude of all the accidents on a map. Which is kind of interesting, but that's really not what we want. To see all the accidents on the map, we could take the accident index and drag it to detail. So the accident index, we'll have to find it first. Accident severity, accident index. It's hard to find.
At the top, the dimensions.
There it is, accident index. So we can drag this to detail. So I click on accident index and I drag it to detail right there. And I get this box. The field has 140,000 values. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Add all the members. And there are my car accidents. It's nice to know that there are some places where there are no car accidents, like some areas. So all the accidents are given in ellipse. And we can get an overview, but there are too many ellipses, right? They all get crowded together. The map is interactive. So look, I'm hovering my mouse over the map, and it's showing me the details of the accidents, the accident index and the latitude and the longitude. We can zoom in on the map, right? And we can pan around on the map interactively by clicking on it. To see, like, it would be nice to be able to look at the severity of the accidents, wouldn't it? To be able to see that somehow. So we can drag accident severity to the color. So there's the accident severity. I can drag that to color and get different colors for the accidents. So it's chosen this green color scale. So remember, accident severity is 1 to 3. So if I go back to my Excel file, I can see that 1 is the fatal, 2 is the serious, and 3 is the slight. Right, and I can still use my mouse. We can optimize this a little bit more by changing the color map. I can double click on the color map, which is down here, or the color legend. And we're going to modify the color legend. So we know there are just those 3 categories. So we may as well just choose 3 colors rather than a continuous color scale. Right, so we can choose step color, for example. We know that there are 3 categories, so we can go down.
So when I drag the accident severity into
Accident severity goes to color.
I'll try that to make sense. And this one.
Looks like I hopefully didn't lose too many people. Don't panic though, because there are online versions of these tutorials on the database channel. What happens if you click on color? So the accident index. The accident index. I'm just wondering why. So accident, okay, try dragging accident severity to color. Interesting. Why that didn't work. That's what I just did. I just dragged accident severity to color. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep.
I'm getting a slightly different box to my neighbour here. If I click on colour,
Yeah.
I'm not getting any.
Oh, you're getting a different, it looks like, well, actually, I think you clicked in a different place than I did. I clicked directly on the color legend. I see. It's not showing the color legend. Did anybody get to see the color legend? Because I guess we're using slightly different versions of Tableau, maybe. That's interesting. Because I clicked. See how I have a color legend that appeared? Amir?
See my color by clicking color and then edit colors. Then you can take
Is it a right click?
Just click.
That's a left click.
What happens if you do a right
Do
click?
a right click.
Nothing. Color, effects.
Just a normal
Oh, let's see how Omnia got it.
Can you try?
Yeah.
There is no. Oh, it's different. Oh, it's different. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't
See
that.
I think this machine is different. Like, I don't know.
What happens when you click on color?
She has this edit
Yeah.
color.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, she has an edit color button that appears
Yeah.
right here. That's funny.
She has.
You have the edit color button too. That is interesting.
Yeah, no, just go as
You found the edit color button?
yeah.
Oh,
But everyone's got it. Yeah.
not everybody found the edit color button. Anyways, don't panic. That I recorded this tutorial already. It's on YouTube, so you can stop it and pause it and slow it down and go step by step.
It's free version of the Tableau software.
Yes, Tableau Public is free.
But Tableau Public is free.
It's free.
Okay.
There's also a Tableau student version which is free. Yep, that's why one of the reasons we're using it. So don't worry, like once we finish with the color legend, you can just carry on and do the other things. You don't need the color. We're not going to be using the color legend for the whole tutorial. It's just to show you that it's possible to modify the color legend and to your needs. So I'm going to change the colors. Let's see. I can use the. That's not actually what I want to use. There's a palette option for anybody that managed to get that window to appear. And I'm going to choose the red, green, diverging color palette option instead of the automatic. So now my severe accidents are red, my sort of middle severity are gray, and then the not so severe are in green. I could have chosen something else, but you know that seems like a pretty reasonable choice. And then I click on OK, and now I can see the more severe accidents are in red now. So does everybody see that? And I can hover and I can zoom in if I want on the map and see more. Oops. I can click on one, or I can click on another one and get details. I can pan the map around. I can also map the size of the ellipses to the number of casualties. So I can take number of casualties right there. I'm going to click on that and drag it to size. So there it is. And now all the ellipses change their size based on the number of casualties. Anybody manage to get there? And now it's more interesting, isn't it? It's more interesting what we can see. We can see that it's very hazardous to our health to drive. We can see that it's even more hazardous to drive in London. We can change the size. If I double click on size, I can change it. So I scale it like up and down. So I can scale it up and down, right, if I want to change it or modify it. probably since we're in the beautiful city of Swansea, we can try doing a search. So search the map. SA2, for example. We're in SA2 right now. And it'll zoom in on SA2. Right. And we can try to, we're like right around here somewhere. Anybody know what that thing is? That shape? Anybody know what that is? Really? Nobody knows what that shape is in SA2? Yeah, the airport. That's right. There's an airport not too far away. We can't use that airport, but it does exist. We can zoom in also, we can zoom in on SA1. Right, there's SA1. And the good news is I don't see too many fatal accidents in SA1, so that's nice. I can adjust the size a little bit if I want, make them bigger. I don't see any fatal accidents actually, which is nice. It's SA1 and SA2, there are lots of accidents, but they aren't very severe. Right? So that's nice, at least the ones that got reported. Okay, I can zoom back out again. And I can look for like the big red ones, right? That's a severe accident right there with 7 casualties. So that was not a good one. I can also click, for example, if I want to find out what the dangerous days are, I can click on, for example, the day of the week. I can just click on that, and then there's a little arrow to the right, and I can say show filter, and it will bring up a widget there, day of the week. If I go back to my Excel spreadsheet, day of the week starts with Sunday. So I can filter these accidents by the day of the week. I can turn them off and go, okay, show me just the accidents on Sundays. That's not a very nice day to have an accident. Here's a big accident right near Shrewsbury. And another one around here, so there's a big one right there. 7 seems to be the biggest. I don't know why there would be 7 casualties occurring, but 7, 4, some other ones, 5. Here's a big one, 6. And now I'm just going to call this sheet, I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it map. So I'm going to go down to the sheet tab and rename it. If I double click on the label there, I can just rename it to map and return. That's the geospatial example. Yeah, it would be nice to look into some things like which day of the week is the most dangerous day to drive, or what time is the most dangerous time to drive, or when is the peak traffic. Like I know sometimes when I'm cycling around Swansea, in the middle of the day, there'd be just so much crazy traffic, like intense traffic jams in the middle of the day, and I just think, why is there such intense traffic in the middle of the day? I thought rush hour was like 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Has anybody else experienced that? Like in the middle of the day, like very, very intense traffic? We can investigate those kinds of things with Tableau in this data right now. So we can create a new sheet. And this time, we'll try something a little bit simpler. We'll take day of the week and we'll drag it to columns. And then we can drag number of casualties to rows. So number of casualties to rows. And we just get a simple bar chart. So the safest day of the week to drive is Sunday. Look, I can hover over the bars, interact. And Friday is the most dangerous day to be driving. Everybody's eager to get to the pub or whatever, or the, I don't know, whatever happens on Fridays. That's a kind of, we can rename this one to day versus casualties, for example. Day versus casualties. Simple one. Any questions about the bar chart? Any bar chart success over here?
We're getting there.
Okay, close, close. You got a line chart, that's good, that's good. Yeah. Okay. A line, okay, did it, mine came up as a bar chart. Did anybody else's come up at a bar chart, or was it all line charts? Yeah, has a bar chart. I mean, line charts and bar charts are both good. Right? You can still see the same things. Sunday is the safest day. This is Sunday. And that's Friday. It's the most dangerous day. And if you hover over the line, you get the actual data. You can hover over the line and see, okay, that's day one, and that's the number of casualties. Okay, I see another successful bar chart over there. What about the time of day? It would be kind of nice to see, okay, what time of day is the most dangerous to drive? Or the safest, it's another way of putting it. I'm going to click on a new sheet, new worksheet at the bottom there, that small button. And then I'm going to drag time to columns. So if I can find time, it's up here, to columns, drag it. And then I'm going to drag number of vehicles to rows. So if I can find the number of vehicles there, and I'm going to drag it to rows. Now I get a line chart. What does everybody else get?
Line chart.
Line charts? Okay. And this shows us like the safest and dangerous times to drive. Right, here's midnight-ish, right? And then there's a little peak for some reason at just past midnight. Then there's a dip at 4 a.m. Right? Anybody want to guess where that peak is? It's at 8 a.m. And then we have a little dip at 10. And then, like, when I'm cycling around, it might be like 3 o'clock or something sometimes, or 2 o'clock. Yeah, and this is where I'm thinking, wow, there's so much traffic on the road. It's crazy, but there it is. Some data to support my perception of the crazy amount of traffic on the roads. I think it's because everybody drives their kids to schools nowadays. Like when I was a kid, that nobody drove to school. We either walked or took a bike or took a bus. Like We didn't have parents driving us around to school every day. Anyways, that's the change. And the other peak is at 5. That's not a big surprise. It's quite a big drop, quite a steep drop. So that gives us some idea about like when the best time of the day is. It would be kind of nice though to get a little bit more detail, because this is for all the days of the week. I'm going to name this one line chart, which is not very exciting, but do it anyways. Line chart, whoops. I'll click on a new sheet. I'm going to double click on time. This time I'm just going to double click on it. And it appears in the columns. In the columns. And I'm going to drag the number of records to rows. Number of records down here to rows. And I get another line chart. I'm also going to drag the number of vehicles to rows. Number of vehicles to rows. I can do that if I want. For example, 2 line charts. If I wanted to compare, oh, is there a difference between number of records and number of vehicles? Well, theoretically there is a difference, right? Because the same vehicle could be involved in more than one accident. But it doesn't look like there are any major differences. And if I want a little bit more detail, like separating out the days of the week, I can take day of week and drag it to color. And now I get different lines depending on the day of the week, which is nice. Right, so I can see, for example, the weekdays, all the weekdays look like this. But for some reason, this is the highest peak, the day of the week, that's, which day of the week is that? That's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. For some reason, Wednesday has the highest peak. And the lowest peak looks like Saturday, Friday. So that's kind of interesting. And then these are obviously Saturday and Sunday. Right? This is Sunday and there's a Saturday. So Sunday has the least traffic. You can see that. We can also change this to something a little bit more interesting, like an area chart. So there's a Show Me tab at the top there, and it shows the different visual designs. And the ones you're allowed to choose are highlighted in, there's our tree map example, line charts. We're going to do area charts. Try area charts. So that's what our graph looks like as an area chart. And it sorts it does a sorting operation, right? By top to bottom. So that's Sunday at the top, and then Monday second to the top, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it stacks them on top of each other, and it's interactive. That's called an area chart. It just removes the overlap from the line charts, the overlapping line charts. Did anybody get the area chart? You can try dragging the day of the week to color. What happens Who's going to drag day of the week to color? Those look good? It's fun to see the different settings depending on the version. So we did quickly the geospace, the bar charts, line charts, area charts, and then the climax, the exciting climax is to combine these into a dashboard. That's what it is. Very exciting, very exciting. Are there any questions, by the way? Like I said, there's a there are two versions of this tutorial on the DataViz YouTube channel if you want to go back and look again. And it's the same data set, same steps, with one step by step with a screen capture. Screen capture. Amin?
In the beginning, the data of the geophones, is it allowed to change, for example, rather than numbers as a number of the string 1, for example? Or we need to process that data?
You mean to have the words Monday, Tuesday? I don't know the answer to that question actually. I don't know how to substitute the numbers for the words. I'm not
So
sure.
I mean, does it have to have some condition inside?
I don't know. I don't know actually. Yeah, Google would be a good place to ask that question. Any other questions? Okay, so now we're not going to make, we're going to actually, let's call this something like area chart. And I'm just going to remove, may as well just remove one. We don't really need both of them. And instead of new worksheets, I'm going to click on new dashboard. And we get a different kind of layout. It's not the familiar layout, all the data attributes on the left anymore. And now we see the things that we created, like the map and the day of the week there, the previews. There are lots of, as you can see, this is a very feature-rich piece of software. There are a lot of features here, and it would take years to go over all of them. So we're not going to go over all of them, just a few to get you started. There are more Tableau tutorials on YouTube, created by Tableau as well. They're not as good as this one, but there are more. Like the data set they use in the Tableau is I think construction sites in Seattle. Like they're looking at construction sites in Seattle as part of their example, which is not as interesting nor as important as car safety. Anyways, one of the options I'm going to change is this size. So you can set the size of all of your all of your different dashboard components, but I'm going to change mine to automatic, changing the size to automatic. And then it says drop sheets here. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to the map, and we're going to drag and drop that onto the canvas. So drag it and drop it. And there it is. There's our map, looking good. And then we're going to add the bar chart and the area chart. So we're going to add day versus casualties, for example. I'm going to add that to the dashboard. I'm going to put it over to the right. So it's going to occupy the right side, which is not we're not finished yet, but that's just placing the initial. And then I'm going to add the area chart as well. I'm going to drag that over to the bottom right. So I can, it's giving me these previews of what it's going to look like when I do that. So there are 3 views that are combined into a dashboard. And they're all coordinated and linked now. I think we can change the size. We can change the size of these. I can try adding the line chart. I can just try that and see what it's like. Add the line chart over here somewhere, like here. Because the line chart and the bar chart don't really need the high resolution. I can adjust the border a little bit because we want to give the map a little bit more space, don't we? Right, and we can adjust this a little bit. And move our map a little bit into the middle, make it look a little bit nicer. Does the shape of the UK remind anybody of anything? Does anybody see things, like see something when they look at the map of the UK? I see something, like it reminds me of something. Nobody like sees some strange, fictitious kind of weird thing. Like I always see, like, for some reason, this is not part of the class, by the way. I always see like the pig snout, like this is a pig snout, and that's the ears, and like this is the front leg of the pig, and there's not much of a back leg, and then there's like a kind of dwarf sitting on it, like riding the pig. Nobody else sees that.
Not that particular picture.
I see that every time I look at the UK. I'm like, oh, there's some, looks like a pig's head and somebody, like a little dwarf riding a pig. I can't believe nobody else ever noticed anything like that. Anyways, that's what I see when And there are different options. I can make this go away. If I click on it, it will hide. So for example, there are different options here. They're very hard to see because the buttons are so small. But I can click on, if I go on the bar chart, I can click on use as a filter, for example. And then I can click, for example, on just Monday. And when I click on just Monday, it filters all the views in a synchronized, coordinated way. So I can click on just visualize, for example, the accidents on Monday, or Tuesday, or Thursday, and so on, right? And I can see that Sunday is the safest day of the week, and so on. So I can use these as filters. I can modify the titles if I want to, right? Like if I can remove the remove the bar chart if I want to, or deselect, and so on. You can explore these different options. Oops. So I'm going to turn off the filter. I can remove the title, for example, if I want to make more space. I don't really need the line chart there, right? An area chart, because they're just taking up extra space. And I can rename the dashboard. I'm going to name it Death by driving. You can see I'm a big fan of driving. And the last thing is to save it. If I want to save it, I can do that. I can save it to Tableau Public, for example. I would need to register and log in, so I have a username and password. I guess you guys don't have one yet. And I can sign in, and it will actually save all of this for me. So this one is PGR Skills Development. And today is the 30th, January 2018. And look, it's saving it to actually a web page. So it gets converted to a public web page, and I can then share it with the world about all the discoveries I made. And then it automatically launches a web browser. And there it is on a web page that I can share with anybody. It's public. My amazing dashboard. Any questions about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Like here we have many figures. If I wanna export only one figures, like to add it into the Word file, how should I do?
To add it into a Word document, well, one of the ways to do that would be to take a screen capture, right? So for example, the area chart, I can take a screen capture. So this is the screen capturing software on the Mac on one of the programs is called Grab. So you can open that up, or I can give you a little demo. Grab. And Grab, I can do a selection or a window or a screen, a selection. So take a screenshot. To take a screenshot of that part of the screen, drag over that part. Okay, and then I have to find my so this is it, and then I drag over. And it takes a screen capture, and then I save that to a file. So that would be Laramie 18 area chart capture. And then I choose a file format, PNG. I can save it to my desktop. That would be one way. There are more than one way. There are different ways, but that's one of them.
Presumably the student version allows you to export it as JPEG or something like that, is that?
I don't know. I don't know all the.
Otherwise.
There are 10,000 different user options, and I don't know what all of them are. Luckily, I don't need to know what all of them are, because there are different kinds of help, the help for exporting images and so on. So luckily I don't need to know everything. I can just look up the answers, alternative answers. Any other questions?
Would you say Tableau is one of the best data visualization software out there, or are there alternatives?
I don't know the answer to that question either. I would say it's one of the best. But I can give you a more complicated answer. I'm gonna quit. And this is gonna blow you away. So if I go back to my amazing webpage and I click on teaching and then data visualization, the full-length module.
Yeah.
And look, it says an amazing collection of data visualization tools is here, and I click on there. You get a little surprise. There are hundreds of tools. So I don't know about all those hundreds of tools because there's a new one every day. Remember that first slide I showed, the digital solutions and leading to data chaos? So even,
So how did you get it? I got to teaching.
Yep.
What was the
and then
next?
data visualization, there's a data visualization module. You scroll down.
I can see the lectures. What is it further down?
It's data, you click on data visualization, yeah. And then the amazing collection of data
Oh,
visualization tools. Yeah.
Tableau is very emotionally.
Yeah, in order to save this, you need
It's
to
more sorry.
register
Very
with
popular
Tableau.
commercial.
Yeah, username,
So
password.
main sort of companies and
Tableau and D3.js.
It's free, yes, yes, it's free. That's why one of the reasons we're using it. It's a student version as well. That's free.
There was also one tutor attitude to entrance, like the dimension studio and actually like draw through
The only location option I really explored in detail is the latitude and longitude. But I don't think Tableau would know how to interpret that data as a spatial position otherwise. It would need either something like area code, it will understand area code, latitude, longitude. There was another unit area measure in that data file, and I can't remember the name of it, like local authority number or something like that. But in your case, and like I said, your case is non-trivial. So you would need probably some software that can handle scientific visualization, a little bit of scientific visualization aspects, which we didn't go into detail today. Right? Maybe I don't have a simple, quick, easy answer to that question. We can talk about it sometime, but I don't have a quick fix for you for that one. That problem that you're looking at, that I don't think has a very quick fix, like quick and easy fix. You know what I mean? Any other questions or comments? We do have some workshop evaluation questionnaires, if everybody could fill out one of those. I am recording this, so I will put it also on YouTube if the recording works, assuming it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. I can't do anything about it. But I recorded my voice and then my screen at the same time, so for future. And you can see that also on the DataViz YouTube channel from previous instantiations of this module. Any other questions, comments? Like I said, check out the DataViz YouTube channel if you're looking for more information. You just can't get enough of this, which is very common, by the way, very common. A lot of people do look at this. So if I click on playlists and then database skills development, look, using Tableau, a hands-on tutorial and demonstration. So it's right there like this. It's got the sound and everything of what it looks like in Excel. It's there from the last time.
So how did you save the dashboard as a?
How did I save it?
It's last thing you log in sometime.
Yes, you would have to create a Tableau username and password.
So we can save it for instance, without
That's right. I've already created a username and password, so I can save mine, but for somebody that hasn't, it won't work.